Hello everybody. I have taught hurricane preparedness since 2005, and in the informal polls that I take in my webinars and seminars, I'll ask the question, who all here is ready for a hurricane? And I'll ask questions about water and about food and about batteries and weather radios and flashlights and so forth. And I've come to believe that about 5% of the people get ready every year by June 1st for hurricane season. And the other 95% are the ones you're going to be encountering scrambling around at the last minute should a hurricane come into their area. My name is Haskell Moore. I'm president and owner of Hurricane Preparedness Training and Consulting, LLC. So I'm going to give you today 5 really important reasons why you should get ready for a hurricane every year before hurricane season starts. So the first one is, it will save you time. You'd be surprised how many things there are to get done before a hurricane strikes your area. If you are new to the area and are living in a hurricane zone and you've never experienced a hurricane before, there is just an awful lot that you need to get done. For instance, you need to pick up everything out of your yard that could fly around and harm your house or harm a person. If you have a trampoline, you have to deal with that trampoline. If you are going to put up plywood shutters, you'll need to cut the boards, you'll need to get the clips to affix them to your house. That takes at least a day or two if you know what you're doing. It can take more if you have a big house, 2-story, lots of windows and so forth. So there's a lot of things that need to be done. So if you've gotten the little stuff knocked out early, if you've already gotten your flashlight, your batteries, your weather radio, your food, your water, all of those things on hand before a hurricane threatens your area, then you're well prepared to go and not have to deal with that kind of trivia while you're trying to get things important like getting gasoline for your car, maybe gas for the generator and so forth. The other thing that it does is that it saves you money. By preparing early, you can save a lot of money. For instance, back in 2008, in April, I cut the plywood for the windows to protect my home in the event of a hurricane. And then my neighbor had procrastinated this, and I imagine he was a pretty busy guy, so I can understand that. But still, he was at the last minute scrambling around getting plywood, same size house, same number of windows. I paid $500 for the plywood for my windows. He paid $1,500 because the price had gone up because there was a hurricane in the Gulf. So those prices can fluctuate a lot. By getting ready early, I saved $1,000. Also, you can take advantage of sales, Amazon's Prime Sale, Black Friday sales, local sales at your hardware, do-it-yourself stores, things like that. And you can spread those costs out over the course of the year. Believe me, it's going to be a lot easier to order a flashlight and have it delivered to your front doorstep as opposed to going down to the hardware and digging through and waiting in line. And if you get there too late, everything's going to be gone, and it's subjective of what too late is. Sometimes they clear out earlier, sometimes they clear out later. But believe me, the week of the hurricane, things are going to fly off the shelf really quickly. The other thing it will do is it will save you frustration. Like I said, stuff flies off the shelf when there's a hurricane threatening. Grocery shelves will be absolutely empty. You just won't believe how little stuff there is left in the store when everybody's shopping for a hurricane. Gasoline, there'll be long lines for gasoline. Nerves will be frayed. People will be frustrated. You may end up having to drive from store to store to get basic necessities. So it can save you a lot of frustration by getting these products early. The other thing it will do is save you anxiety. Having all of these tasks done ahead of time means that every year when there's a hurricane threatening out in the Gulf or coming in on the Atlantic, you won't have to worry because you've already got your cupboard full, your cupboard is stocked, you've got the water, you've got all of the critical items that you need before the storm. I used to hear all the time people saying, oh, I'm just so worried, you know, we could have a hurricane just any week now, and I haven't done anything. It's like, why are you sitting here, you know, procrastinating this? You really need to be doing this early. Here's a great time. No hurricane is threatening at this time. Get your stuff, get ready for the storm. And number 5, it will help keep you safer. Something like an AM/FM weather radio can save your life. For instance, back in 2017, when Hurricane Harvey, the remnants of Harvey actually, threatened the Houston area, where in my house we got over 33 inches of rain in just a few days. The Barker Reservoir was full. It was ready to top over the reservoir. It was an earthen reservoir, which meant that once it started coming over, it was going to erode the reservoir quickly and flood the downstream community. So they made the decision to let the water out of the reservoir at a controlled rate, which would flood the area still, but it would do it much more slowly and wouldn't threaten as many lives. Well, if you didn't have a radio where you could get this information, you may end up getting caught off guard and not even realize why all of a sudden the water is coming up around your house. I actually went and saw one of the houses of a friend of mine who was just downstream of the reservoir, and the water had actually gone completely on her first floor and was working its way up to the second floor. So it's very important to have things like a weather radio so you can hear what's going on, so you can have your phone charged, so you may need to get some power banks, you may need to get some additional cords, a good flashlight, not only to see with, but to signal for help. That's very important, to be able to signal for help in an emergency situation like that. So these things are all important that you have. Now, the other thing you may have not thought of is that in that panic before the hurricane hits, there are going to be people out there who are just losing their mind. They just go crazy. And especially at the gas stations, I can't believe that they think that gasoline is more important than diapers and baby formula, but the gasoline seems to be the thing where the tempers flare, and it's probably because they've been sitting out in their car afraid to run out of gas, just sitting at the station for 3 and 4 hours at a time. So tempers tend to flare. You can get killed over the most minor things, such as baby formula to store, money out of an ATM, a gallon of milk, a loaf of bread. All of these things are things that are in high demand when there is a hurricane coming, and so people tend to get irrational, tend to do stupid stuff. By getting your supplies early, having those on your shelf, not being out there in all that mayhem and craziness, you can keep yourself and your family safer. So those are my 5 tips on why you should get ready early for a hurricane every year. Again, my name is Haskell Moore. Thank you so much for joining us. Check out my website, hidefromthewind.com. That's hidefromthewind.com. And there are products out there under recommended products that refer you over to an Amazon. And yes, I make a small commission on those. If that offends your sensibilities, then just go buy them on Amazon. I'm not in this to make money. What I use the money for is to pay for these videos and the editing tools and the web space and so forth. But by all means, please go check that out. There are some great checklists on that website. There's a lot of useful information. There's also links to other videos that I'm going to be posting out through the remainder of hurricane season this year. Again, that's hidefromthewind.com. And then finally, if you go out to buy a Maglite flashlight, and I have videos, I'm a Maglite brand ambassador, I have videos on the Maglite flashlights and how they are what I believe to be the very best disaster preparedness flashlight on the market. If you decide to buy one, go to the maglite.com website and enter code MOORE30, that's MOORE 30, for 30% off your entire purchase on the website. So again, thank you for joining me today. Tune in, please hit like and subscribe. That really does help me get the word out. Again, this is a labor of love. It is not a money-making opportunity, believe me. That's it for now. Thanks again. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.